going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Creatives Podcast. I am one of two co-hosts, Tevin Brown.
And I am two of two co-hosts, Simone Campbell.
And today we have a very special guest to the Creatives Podcast. She started as a makeup artist. She owns her own magazine. She also worked with many different designers and learned the publishing of magazines and learned the creation of fashion shows, where she also owns her own production company for fashion shows, Bblex Productions. And when we talk about creations, you have to be really creative to create something, including the Creatives Podcast itself. It is one of our two producers, Lidia. Welcome to the show.
Hello, guys. Hello, everyone. Well, what can I say? Thank you for having me every day for a year.
Yeah, right? No, finally in front of the camera?
Yeah, I'm like, where do I hide?
Oh my goodness. I meant to also say started as well as a special guest co-host and is now a special guest as well.
Yeah, I know I did that. That was amazing. Thank you, Simone, for not coming in that day.
Oh, of course.
It was like a little intro to okay, you're going to be on the spot. So I'm here now.
I got you. Perfect training.
Yeah, but we missed you.
Yep, we missed having you here in front of the camera because I was able to host a fashion panel recently at the Atomic 66 Festival, and I had so much fun interviewing you, having you on there, and you worked so hard behind the scenes. I think that it was time that you had your time in the scenes. So
thank you.
Absolutely. Okay, cool. Well, where should we start?
It's always our favorite question, and it's always the greatest question, I think, because it just sparks not only so many conversations, but it's always so beautiful to hear. How did you get started with everything?
The whole story?
Bring it on.
Okay. Funny part. Well, I guess I one day just said, hey, I want to learn how to do makeup. And I took a class, started doing makeup, and then before you knew it, I was doing people's makeup. And then I was like, well, I could do hair too, because it was Sweet 15 and weddings makeup. And I was like, okay, well, I could do their hair too. So I started learning how to do hair. And after that, it was like, well, if I know how to do the hair and makeup, why don't I sell the dresses? So that's when I started this boutique called Bblex Boutique. And I was selling Sweet 15 dresses and wedding dresses and just regular dresses. And that led to owning a magazine that was called Quinceañera Magazine, which was a magazine that was for quinceañeras. So we would advertise local venues and businesses that would have all the things that you need to have a Sweet 15. And from there, we started creating production, and that's where my love for production came. And we created events with that magazine for the Sweet 15 girls. So I had to learn all the ends about a production that I had no idea. So I started understanding what it was like to create a whole event. And our first event was at the convention center, and there was designers that we worked with that came from different states, and there was about 40 models in Sweet 15 dresses. So behind the scenes, it was really chaos, because they were running everywhere in these huge dresses and having all these different makeup artists. It was really my introduction to understanding what a production was on that level, because we had so many great sponsors, and it was a big event. So having it at the convention center, you can imagine how it was. But that's where I realized I had a love for being behind the cameras and really seeing how things work. And then after that, COVID hit, and as we all know, when COVID hit, all the businesses went down, and everybody was just the whole world was stopped. So I closed my boutique, and I stopped the magazine, and then after that I just kind of was home. And when I was doing the production, I was running it through Quinceañera Magazine. And so after that, I was when COVID was back and everything was back to normal, I was something is missing. Something in my heart, was missing. And I was I gotta go back to doing production. It was a love I had for arts that I didn't realize I had. And I created Bblex Productions, and that was my baby at that point. You know, I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? So I started working with runway models, and then just started doing like fashion shows and coaching models. And then just like, it's really weird, but I feel like destiny leads you in a different path every single time once you follow really like a passion of yours. You know, it's like before all of that, I used to work for an attorney's office, in an office. And that was like the ordinary, just, you know, the thing. It was like, just, it felt right because, you know, you were able to live a good life. But if it didn't feel like it was me, I always felt like something was missing. And when I did production, it's something I can't explain, but when I see the cameras, the lights, the actors, the models, the makeup artists, the everybody, like the other producers, it's like just something that's so creative that I can't explain, but it's a love I have for it. And that's kind of like where we are, you know. Podcast came after that because I realized how the podcast was a good platform to transmit a message to other people. And I came up with an idea that was called the Two Queens Chat before this one, that we interviewed businesswoman owners, local businesswoman owners, and that was amazing. I got to meet a lot of great women in the industry. We just talk about the person behind the business. They don't really have a chance to really like, you know, talk about that. So you see the business and you see they're very successful, but it's like, how did you get there? You know? Yeah.
Wow. This is, you're multi-talented. A variety, and I think it's just so clear the passion that you have and how it informs and really like stokes the flames to keep it burning for all of the things that you're doing, all the projects that you're working on, that you've been working on. And I want to lean in a little bit more to fashion because I know that that's such a big part of, you know, what you love and the work and creative work that you do. So first of all, where did that originate? And how would you describe the kind of fashion and styles and things that you're attracted to or that get you excited?
So the funny part is, I don't know if you guys remember, but when you're little, well, I don't want to like say, but because I'm like really kind of older, but they used to have the little paper dolls.
Yeah, totally.
Back in the days.
Paper dolls.
Yeah, and so I would cut those, you know, like you dress them up, and I always had a love to like do that. You know, I was really, I grew up with 3 sisters, but I was the only one that was really like into that. My mom would always be like, okay, here, Lidia, there's the dolls. Growing up, it wasn't until I was about 18 that I started really looking into fashion, that I was like, whoa, I would see the models, the big brands, and I was like, that is great. Like, I don't know, just seeing their outfits put together, you know, and some of the major brands, like when I would see so many of them like in Milan or Paris, and I would always just be attracted to like the way they created the show. And then I would see behind the scenes, and I would pay attention to every single detail, like how they would have, you know, like, I mean, sets, like little like makeup sets for each model. And I would be like, wow, like, you know, that's amazing how like you can get to be having that big production like that. And it was like, girl coming from a Mexican family to a country that, you know, we didn't know the language. It was like a dream that was like very far, because we didn't grow up with those ideas. We grew up with the idea of, you got to this country, you have to survive. You don't speak the language, you're not legal. So there were dreams that were like not there, but in my heart, they were there. Like, I didn't have my mother tell me, hey, look at this show, you know. She had me tell me like, we're gonna watch this soap opera at 6 o'clock because this is what's, you know, gonna be on. And that was what my family looked forward to. My parents coming home from work very tired and not really having more. And so as I was getting older, I would be like, I want more. I just always wanted more, and it wasn't an ambition. It was a a mission. Like there was something. Just I always felt there's just something more. You can't just be here. Like everything could be done. I always had that mindset, and because of that mindset, I've been very blessed to travel to different places, not knowing I would travel to those places. Real funny. It's like, I know some people ask me like, well, how did you get to Dubai, or how did you get to Rome? You know, because coming from my family, we didn't, you know, we couldn't do that stuff. But some weird and funny reason, I'm going to tell you guys about this. I bought a big picture frame of the Sixtine Chapel, and I hung it up in my living room. And I swear, I said, one day I'm going to go there. And like a year later, I was there.
Wow.
And so I was like, maybe things could happen.
She was like,
dreams come true.
We're manifesting.
Yeah. So, and as far as like inspirations, there's my favorite designer. His name is Amato, and he's based off in Dubai. And funny, like I'll tell you a story that I had another dream. I would always see his shows, and I was like, oh my gosh, I just love his designs. I didn't know what couture, like real couture, because I mean, you're thinking like, you know, they're like, they design for like the big stars like Jennifer Lopez or like Beyonce, you know. So you don't really see it from up close. But when I was able to travel to Dubai, I just happened to be in the same shopping center. I didn't even know he had a store there. And I was there like in front of it while I was gonna go get a coffee, and I was like, is this really his store? You know, I was like, am I really like seeing this?
Is this real?
Yeah, I didn't know he was here. And I just went in. Nobody was there. He had a couple of dresses, and then the guy comes outside and says, hey, he's like, you know, you like the designs? And I was like, yeah, they're really pretty. He goes, let me show you better designs. And I was like, wow, okay. So he took me to upstairs and, you know, across the hall, and there's this one room where they have the glass designs, and I was able to touch them. So like, just that's where I find that inspiration of like a designer. I was like, whoa, just seeing the details in such a couture, you know, design. Just I just like, I had a tear, and I was all.
You went,
I can't believe, you know, because
someone wake me up. No one wake me up.
Yeah, there's small things in this life, but I feel like even though they're small, they're significant in your life, and it impacts it. And throughout those moments, it's like I still believe, okay, I still could go on. No matter what age I am, I still can make it. I'm going slowly, because it's, you know, it's not up to us. It's like the divine has a better plan for us, and it's his time. Because as much as you push it, it's like it just doesn't happen. But you still have to have that belief. And those are the moments that I hold in my heart where I'm like, I want to continue, you know? Because I live amazing moments like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Some very special, very sacred moments, it sounds like, too.
Yeah.
No, that's absolutely incredible. And I guess kind of still honing in on the fashion, because there's just like so many pieces that like I want to know more about, like especially like the magazine with the quinceañera. It was quinceañera dresses, or just like helping like magazine like about quinceañeras altogether?
Yeah, it was just quinceañera dresses. So because I own a boutique, I had my sister, another thing that happened to manifesting. It's just like, oh my gosh. So before my sister came to me, I had seen the magazine, and I knew it was very popular because it was in like 26 states of the USA. It's like a franchise magazine. And I was like, I called and I was like, hey, how much is it to get a page? Because, you know, me always thinking, how can I grow bigger? I'll buy a page and then ship the dresses to another states or whatever, you know. And they told me the price, and I was like, okay, that's a lot. But for some weird reason, my sister ended up being interested in this magazine and came to me one day and said, hey, Lidia, guess what? Look at this magazine. I said one day I'll have an ad. I didn't know that I was going to end up owning the magazine, you know. And it just happened. So yeah, like It was just strictly quinceañera dresses, different venues, flower, everything that you need in a quinceañera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's incredible. What was because I'm kind of like unfamiliar, I guess, with like the production side of like building those magazines. I know you were talking about like the 40 girls and all the dresses and everything.
Yeah, oh my gosh, that was crazy. But it was amazing. It was a great experience. So because we had the magazine, we used to have this competition called the Cover Girl magazine girls. So they would all compete to be the cover of that magazine every time we published the next like session of the magazine. And so when that happened, we would create this big event, and it's like when they have like, it's kind of similar to when they have wedding events. So every season they have a wedding event, so you can see what the new trends are and the new, what they have out, what's new for the new like weddings and stuff like that. Every year it changes. It's like a whole fashion thing, Yeah. So it was the same thing. So we had an event with the magazine that the girls would compete to be the cover of the magazine, and so we had this huge like an event that would have so many vendors involved, and people would go and look at the new dresses that were coming out. They would model them, and then people would go and look at the booths and see all the different services that the quinceañeras the business would provide to them. Yeah, so it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun though. I'm telling you, that was my like school, I call it. I'm like, I learned a lot.
Yeah.
It turned out like, it was like, but that's life. Yeah.
I love this. I think kind of a common thread I'm noticing is that you have a very special talent and like propensity in curating spaces for people and curating experiences and helping people make memories that are really special. So what is that like for you, and how does that feed your own creative spirit?
So I guess I have used what I've discovered in that sense, that I can inspire other people. When I do a show with Bblex production, not with Quinceañera magazine anymore, every show that I have done has been actually a life experience of mine, believe it or not. It's so funny. It's like nobody knows, but they just go and they're like, wow, I love your show. But I did a show with the theme of the Rising Phoenix down at Casa Rodeña here in Albuquerque. And that was based on a story of my past, which I was a survivor of domestic violence, and so that was my way of transmitting a healing to other people through an art that I was able to have as a gift. So telling a story in every fashion show that I create is what inspires others, but at the same time, because the story is so powerful, when you go to the shows, you're able to see that. Because then I talk about, why it was the Rising Phoenix, because you were rise, into a beautiful phoenix, the story. And so I did another one that was in Dallas, Texas. And that was based on a Charlie Chaplin theme. And that was like a story based on city lights. And it's a story about a man that's from the streets, and a blind woman falls in love with him. And the reason why I chose that particular story was because it's like I wanted to put on a message of love is not what you see, but love is what you have inside. You fall in love with the spirit and the soul, not the body and the face. And so, I mean, part of that too, but surviving from all these things that in the past, to me, it was important to transmit that message to others. And so picking a story that passes that message, it's like how I project that inspiration to others, in a great way. Like,
Absolutely.
Hey, it's a fashion show mixed with film. You get to see fashion, but throughout the event, I was like in the intermedia, you would see Charlie Chaplin come out and the main actress, and kind of the story would unfold as the show was going. Yeah. So, yeah, that's how I do that. Just do it.
She's like, that's how I just,
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
It's okay.
That's just how it goes. Thank you.
Goodness.
So much for
Thank you.
sharing.
I follow my heart a lot. I follow my instinct and what I feel calls me. And when I do that, I put my heart at at everything I do.
You can tell.
Yeah. No, and not only thank you for sharing kind of like such an intimate piece with the domestic violence and how that inspired the show, but also thank you for creating that show and not only using it for your own therapy, but like creating something beautiful from horrible trauma. And to segue, because internet, I'm going to be real with y'all. Sometimes I think far too often than not, we create things to be memes to cope. And that's just something that our generation does. And sometimes I think so much of it becomes a meme that, like, it's an issue even with reality TV stars, where at times we look at them as, like, I watch a lot of Love Island, and this is where this is coming from. But my fiance and I had a long conversation where we genuinely looked at them as characters. Like, they're not human beings. Like, it's not Kayla and all of the people like on that show. Like, it's, oh, this character Kayla's going through this drama again when she's going through this traumatic thing. And with that comes COVID. COVID was traumatic. COVID was hard. And I know it's always touchy to go into politics, but COVID was real. At the end of the day, like, we were all locked down. I know because I grew up in Florida, and I know a lot of Floridians, we like to pretend that it didn't exist, because I saw all of y'all outside. Don't pretend you weren't. But it was like such a traumatic thing for so many people who lost so many lives, and the absolute amount, like mass amount of graves that came from that. And it's never something that should be joked about, and it's never something that should be forgotten, ultimately, because that was a worldwide event. That wasn't just America. And with the concept of kind of the phoenix and rising, you kind of, I think it's so beautiful because you kind of did that all over again, because you had said you had to close down your magazine, you had to close down the boutique and everything with COVID, but then I feel like you almost came back stronger, and you're still creating new fashion shows, and then you created this entire show. We wouldn't be here. Like, she is a whole half of the reason why Simone and I even met. Simone and I get to sit here and I get to meet absolutely incredible people. And so I guess my question becomes, what was that like in that moment when it came to the rebuild again?
It wasn't easy because, you had all these fears and doubts. When you reinvent yourself and you rebuild, there's always a fear. And you're just like, I'm scared. How am I going to do this? But I've learned to just, this is what I love. This is what I want to do. Whether it's, there's 400 people in a venue for a fashion show or 30 people, it doesn't matter. Like, the message is there. My passion is there. My love for arts is there, and that's all that matters. The right people that will, be there is because they should, that's what they were meant to do. They should be there. That's what, like, the universe put for you, It's like, you don't know who's going to be in you, but I know that the right people will be there. The right people will show up for you because they need it, And that's why I feel like creators, if we can use our gift to change, to help, to inspire, like, that's a gift. A gift that, is given to us, and use it for a greater purpose for everyone, for humanity, not just to show off something. That's how I feel. Yeah,
absolutely.
And just have no fear to reinvent. I mean, it's always better. You learn.
Just keep moving.
Yeah, just keep moving.
I love it. Well, in our final moments, this has been such a wonderful conversation. What advice would you give to young creatives, and especially people who are in the process of building resiliency and maybe even in their own, entering their new incarnations?
What advice? The only advice that I would give is just, keep going. Don't worry about what others say, because there will always be someone to criticize your work. Always, and it doesn't matter. None of that matters. The only thing that matters is for you to be happy for you to continue, and not listen to nobody. It's just like, keep going, keep going. Don't listen, because if you listen, something will be playing behind your ear saying, no, you can't do it. No, you can do it. It's going to take time, because nothing is easy. I mean, look at me. It's been taking me a long time where I'm like, whoa, and I'm still not even, I feel like I've only took the second step of my whole 10-stair, way. But I'm happy in this journey, and you'll be happy in this journey. So just, keep going, believe in yourself, and don't let anyone stop you from a dream that you have, because anything can be possible.
Yeah. Lydia, thank you so much for being on the show with us.
You're welcome,
today.
guys.
Finally in front of the cameras.
I know. Before we go, super quickly, is there anywhere that people can follow you and see your work and know events coming up?
Yeah, of course. But before I leave, I want to thank you too, because when all of this was put together, I thought I need two amazing people. One that would represent DanGil, because I was like, DanGil, we need to get two people, how you visualize yourself and how I visualize myself, but in a younger version. We never told you guys that. So when we had the interview, we were like, okay, DanGil, I guess, feels like he's tapping in a younger, more handsome age. And I feel like I'm Simone in a younger, more beautiful, age, tall, because that was my dream girl. I was like, how could I not be tall? So thank you guys so much for, being part of this. And, I wish you guys the best throughout this journey, another whole year to come. And so that was the secret me and DanGil had behind when we were conversating when the creatives was coming about. So thank you guys so much.
Thank you for making it
and
possible.
You could find me through, you already know the creatives are Bblex Productions. Thank you everyone for listening to this story, and thank you guys so much, and following us on YouTube.
Yeah. Thank you guys sincerely so much for watching another episode of the Creatives Podcast. Once again, my name is Tevin Brown.
And I'm Simone Campbell.
And YouTube people, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. You can catch us on YouTube. You can also catch us with Catharsis Media on Channel 96. You can catch us with Studio 519, the amazing people who have to deal with us every single time we come in here, on Channel 27. You can also catch us on RM Entertainment, RME Free TV, on your Roku TV and Apple device. And please have a great and safe night. Be good, do good, go Bills. Good night.
Thank you guys.